Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can make your very own delicate string bracelets like you see here. So I have 7 sort of stacked up on my wrist, and I chose a really fun color palette, and I'm going to show you how to finish off the closure and how to add some little embellishments there to the end. But these are really great. They're kind of friendship-like bracelets, and you can just stack them up and go even more with more than 7 if you want. So these are really, really fun. So I'm going to show you how to do this in the video here. So like I said, I've chosen a beautiful color palette, so let me draw your eye down here. I have 4 colors that I just sort of put together, very summery colors. I have this beautiful turquoise, this lovely sort of grapefruit peachy color. I have a nice little gray because I wanted to just add in a little matte color. And then I have this lovely sort of gunmetal, it's almost a little bit purple, so I thought that was really, really pretty. So these are Toho 11-0 seed beads, as you can see here. So I have my 4 colors here. But I did bring out some other colors because I wanted to show you just how bright and colorful and juicy you can make these bracelets and really make them your own. And I am using white cord today, but I did bring out a few of our other colors of the S-Lon. Now this is S-Lon size 18, so this comes on a spool, and you can actually see this is more of a full spool. We've definitely used some here, but you can make a lot of bracelets from just one color of spool, but don't be afraid to mix and match. All right, so when you have your Toho 11-0 seed beads and your S-Lon, the other tools that you're going to need is I'm going to be using a third hand device, and this is really just going to help my demonstration in the video here so you can see very clearly what's going on with my little closure and my sliding knot. And then I have a thread zap. I also am going to be using a lighter. I'll show you how to use both of those. I have a pair of tweezers here. I have a pair of cutters. And the last thing that you'll need is a ruler. So if you have all of your items ready, let's go ahead and get started making these beautiful, delicate bracelets. Okay, so now that I have them off of my wrist, I want to show you one individually. Now this is really simple. We take some of that S-Lon and we tie a little knot, string on our beads, but I want to show you what's happening in the clasp there because that's the most difficult part of these, but it's actually still very simple. So this is a sliding knot clasp. You've probably also seen it with maybe a Shambhala bracelet or a macrame bracelet. So I know it's difficult to see with those little white cords, so I'm going to do it in a different color here. But I just want to show you that this is adjustable and you can just kind of move this around on those cords, but it's going to stay nice and secure for you. And I added the little embellishment there on the back with a couple extra seed beads, but you don't have to. You can finish that off with just a very little simple knot. But since you have plenty of seed beads to play with, feel free to just add whatever you want. You can see that I've done a couple of different varieties here. I've done some full beads, and then I have some up here where it's just halfway done, or I chose a little pattern there just to kind of break it up. So you can have a lot of fun creating some really cool patterns. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to use this red cord here so you can see it nice and easily. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to bring in my ruler, and I'm going to eyeball and cut off about 16 inches. Now, these will make you about 7-inch bracelets, but I'll show you how to kind of size this. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take those 2 ends together, and I'm going to come down here to the center. Now this is where I want my focal to be. So for this one, I'm just going to do a short little focal. So I'm going to come down here and give myself maybe 1 inch on either side. So once I found that little place, I'm going to come in and I'm going to tie a little knot. Just a little simple overhand knot, creating a little loop. And again, just kind of eyeballing that to where I want it to be. So, and you can double check that by bringing those ends together once more. There we go. And now you can see that I'll end up with my knot on the other side. All right, so with the S-Lon, I'm going to come in, and this is fairly easy to string on with the 11-0 beads, so I'm just going to string on just a bunch of these blue ones. If you are having trouble stringing them on, you can do something where you add a little bit of glue to the tip, and that can sometimes help form a little needle. And to do that, we recommend the Super New Glue. I do have a video showing you exactly how to do that, so if you do end up making a lot of these bracelets, it's a nice, easy little trick. All right, so I'm just going to string on some of these beads. And the Toho 11-0s work so great for this. We have so many colors at beadaholique.com for you to choose from, so you can create your own fun palettes and mixes. It is just really, really fun when you get a chance to see all those beautiful colors together. And as you can see, these ones here have a little they create a little core on them with that red cord going through because they're so transparent, so they give just a little hint of blue. So that's really, really fun to play with. All right, so I think that's good for my demonstration here. So I'm just going to do just a very tiny bit there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to that end of the cord and I'm going to create another overhand loop and bring my cord through there. Oops. And here's a little trick. In order to get that knot right up close, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my tweezers and kind of put it through the loop there. And this is very similar to like a pearl knotting. So I'm just going to pinch the cord and I'm going to bring that knot down and it's going to fall right where I need it to. And then I can just push it down just with my little tweezers there. And I have my little knot where I want it to go. All right, so now I have that done. So let's bring in our third hand. Now this is kind of a cool little tool. And if you do end up making a lot of these, it actually ends up being really nice to work with. So we're going to take our strand and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross over my two cords just like that. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to pinch it on one side and pinch it on the other. So you can see that I have my bracelet here. It's crisscrossed. And don't worry about it being too centered because we have plenty of cord. This is why you want to always cut a little extra cord if you can. So now I have my two cords situated and I just want to kind of separate these so you can see a little bit easier. Okay, so I have my two cords just like so. All right, so now for my demonstration, I'm going to come in and let's see, I'm going to use the blue cord so you can see this. And you can absolutely use a different color cord to do this next step if you like. All right, and I'm going to eyeball about 8 to 10 inches or so. You don't really even need that much, but just err on the side of safety. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring this cord around to the bottom, and I'm going to kind of center it on that red cord there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a macrame square knot, which means I'm taking one side over, I'm going behind, and I'm going up and through to the other side. And now I'm just going to pull that tight, but not too tight. So a nice gentle tug, and that's one. So now we're going to go the opposite direction. So I'm putting this one over, and I'm taking the left-hand cord down and around, and I'm pinching it and pulling it up through that loop and across, and just pulling that together. So that's considered to be one square knot. So we're going to repeat that. And again, I'm going to go back the other way. So I'm bringing that cord up and over the top, bringing the right hand cord down and through that loop, and bringing it across. And then tying our little square knot. And then we're going to finish the square knot by going over with the right hand one, taking our left hand one down and behind, and bringing it up and over and through. And we're going to tie that there. So here's a great example of the sliding knot, and you can see that it actually just moves along those two cords there. So this is an example of 2 square knots. Now, if you wanted a longer version, I do have an example here where we've done a longer set. So you can actually see that square knot develop. You can absolutely do a longer set if you like, or you can, I wouldn't recommend doing a smaller set. You can always add 1 or 2 more for safety. All right, so now here's where it gets a little bit tricky. So we have a couple of options here. What we're going to do on this side is I'm going to come in and I'm going to clip the cord fairly close to the knot. You see I have just a little bit happening on the outside there. Now, please exercise caution and be very careful when working with a lighter. But what we're going to do is we're just going to burn that end. But this is a great another opportunity to really showcase the third hand because you don't have to get your hands nice and close to that. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to burn it and then I'm going to use the bottom tip of my lighter to sort of smooth it down over the cord there. All right, here we go. All right, so you can kind of see on the end there, it has a little burn and then it's nice and secure though. So it sort of melts in on itself. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that on the other side as well. Just come in with my little snips. Don't snip too close. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to rotate this so that I don't have to get that lighter in on the inside. We can keep it right on the outside there. All right, there we go. Just kind of rotated that. So you see we have our little nodule there. So we're just going to come in and burn that, and then just kind of smooth it out there. All right, now here's the test. Let that cool for just a couple of seconds, but make sure that your sliding knot still works, and it works. Perfect. All right, so now we can release it from our third hand here and set that aside. And here's the last step, the sizing. So once you've gotten it to this point, you see that we have plenty of cord on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that nice and wide, and I'm going to try to slip it over my hand. Now the widest part of your hand is usually the fat of the thumb here and across the knuckles. So what you can do now is you can kind of take these and just sort of push it together just a little bit and see how far you can get it and still get it on. So I'm just kind of adjusting and slipping it on, and that'll go on my wrist just like that. All right, now I got to take it off gently and go ahead and center your square knot there. So I need to just center mine and pull this side a little bit and just adjusting. There we go. All right, perfect. Okay, so that's going to fit on my wrist. So now what we want to do is we want to come in, and I want to make little knots here as close as I can to that square knot. So this is one of my cords here. So I'm just going to come in and creating that loop one more time, just as a very simple overhand knot. And again, this is where those little bent nose tweezers come into play, because we can come in and sneak in and grab where we want that knot to land, and it's going to land right there for us. So that is our first little knot there. And now on the other side, we're just going to repeat that same thing, making that nice little overhand loop, bringing that end through, coming in with our tweezers, going through the loop, sneaking down to grab where we want that little knot to land, and bringing that down together. All right, lovely. So now let's say we just want to leave little knots there. You can add on a bead. Here, I'll do it to one of them here. Let's say we want to add on a little bead. And bring that down and just repeat that process there of doing that little loop. Bringing it through, coming in with our tweezers to pinch right there, and then pulling that knot down. And just remove your tweezers, and what I like to do is kind of pinch over and just sort of squish that down just a little bit. All right, so that's how the side looks with a little bead on it. It's very simple. You can add 3 or 4 beads if you like. So now I'm just pulling it away so it looks a little bit more like the other ones that I have here. So here's another tip. We can take this and we can snip it off. I like to leave just a little bit on the end, and then come in again, trying to keep your fingers out of the way, please. Come in with your lighter and just burn that little tip, and there we go. Or what you can do is you can come on this side here, and we can use our thread zaps. Now this has a little protector, so you just remove that. And what happens is you just push this up, and that tip is going to light up and get very hot. So just go ahead in, and this is going to zap off that thread, just like so. And because it does get warm, it does have that nice little burned edge as well, which is going to help it secure through that knot. So that's how easy it is, guys, to make these little bracelets. You can have so much fun choosing all of your favorite colors, and it's very simple tools. I just used a couple of extra things. I'm using Snips, but you can also use scissors, and you can use a household lighter. But again, please exercise caution when working with that and working with the thread zap as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You can get all of these supplies and choose even more wonderful colors by heading over to Beadaholique.com.